All right, so working on round material, even on a fixture table, can be a little bit difficult because it wants to roll. Now there's a bunch of different products that you can get, little V-blocks and other ways to fixture round material so that it can't really go anywhere. But when you need to weld around the outside of a round pipe, you want it to be able to rotate. Now if you're familiar with the pipeline world, you can get kind of rollout wheels, which is 2 wheels in a V, but typically those are mounted on a stand, not something that you could really put in your fixture table. And I looked around online and couldn't find anything, so I decided to design and make my own. Now for me, it needed to be adjustable, it needed to be portable, and I needed to be able to pop into the fixture table and also not mark up the pipe if I'm working with stainless or something clean. So I designed and built something, and I'm going to show you how I did it so you can build your own. So on this Sigmund 16 table, I've got these little V-blocks that pop right into the holes. And for 1-inch tube or 1.5-inch tube, these work great, right? You can easily put your material in there. It doesn't go anywhere. You can still kind of rotate it, but you can see it already wants to roll out. Now I've got some Schedule 40 4-inch pipe, and while it will sit in there, there just isn't enough of a bevel to really hold that in one place. So I want something that can cradle underneath a tube 4 inches or larger, and I found these rollerblade wheels on Amazon. It's about $15 for a set of 4 with bearings, and I realized that if I make an adjustable setup, I could be able to get down all the way to 1-inch tube and then up even farther out and create an adjustable system that these wheels will go into, that I could hook into my table and make it so that I could easily rotate my tube, keep it in place, and go from there.
So to start this out, I'm going to take a piece of thin plywood and kind of mock up a design using the rollerblade wheels that I got on Amazon. So after I did this manually, I actually went ahead and digitized it. So if you want to download the DXF file and either make this yourself, you could print it out on a piece of paper, or you could go ahead and have it cut by a laser service or a water jet or whatever. You can download the link to the DXF file. It's free, it's just on my website, and you can get it there. But I'm just going to show you the process of making a template like this and how I'm going to just do it using the bandsaw. What I like to do is make one side and then flip it over and then trace it onto the other side so that I know the piece is symmetrical. And then I'm just going to go ahead and transfer all that information onto a piece of 3/16 sheet metal. Now I got these really nice new marking tools from my friend Izzy Swan at the Swan Tool Group, and you can see this little angle finding tool and a couple of the other marking tools that I'm going to be using to just sort of mark this out with some Sharpie, and then I'm going to cut it on the portaband. Now, part of the design that I thought was pretty slick is I made these kind of nesting so that as you cut them, you can minimize the actual amount of cutting that you need to do with the bandsaw. And I marked out the holes with the little punch there, and you can see me just sort of rough marking all the pieces up this piece of metal. Now I did a quick rip with a little metal cutting circular saw to kind of get myself a template, and then I went over to my portaband and I started cutting this piece out. Now I'm using a 18 volt Milwaukee portaband, but the really kind of MVP of this setup is the ReadySaw saw guide system thing that I have. It's not a saw guide, it's actually just a saw holder, but it's really cool. It's by a company called ReadySaw. It's made in the USA. You should take a look. I'll leave a link down in the description for that as well. Now once I deburr everything, I go ahead and punch some holes over on the iron worker, and I'm going to be using some 5/16 hardware because that's what you need for rollerblade wheel bearings, and here I am just sort of mocking things up to see how it's going to work. Now you can see I had that 1-inch tube and then some 4-inch Schedule 40, and really I'm trying to make these things adjustable so that I can use them with a variety of tubing, but I don't like that V shape in the middle. I kind of just aesthetically want it to be rounded, so I'm going to mark that out, but first I'm going to cut the other V shapes out on the portaband so that I can have those, and then I'll go ahead and I will cut that curve and kind of make them look a little bit nicer looking in my opinion. Also give me a little bit more room if I ever need it with the actual shape. Now the only tricky part about cutting these on the portaband is because you've got the back of the saw there, you have to cut it from both sides. But again, if you've got a plasma cutter, or if you've used a company like Send Cut Send, you could just use the DXF that I made and have these printed out, cut for you, and shipped right to your house. I wanted to do this sort of the low-tech way, just because every now and then it's fun to use tools like this and do something a little more manually. Here's a trick for cutting curves with a portaband. Even though that's got a pretty heavy blade, you can just cut a bunch of relief cuts, and then you can still cut pretty nice curves with a portaband, and then you can use the slack side of a belt grinder like this to deburr and kind of round out those corners, make everything nice and smooth. Now I definitely added a lot of time to this project by manually cutting everything, but I think that most of the people that are going to watch this video are probably going to make these from scratch like this. So I figured I'll show the process and explain the ways that I do it a little more efficiently. You can see me cutting those relief cuts and cutting these curves. Really easy with this Portaband setup. And again, the Ready Saw system is really great. You bolt it to your wall or to a table, and then you can have a kind of stationary saw with this really great switch actuator, and it's just a great tool. So now with 2 pieces made, I have my holes from the original, and I'm going to be using this little expanding transfer punch to transfer those holes down to the next plate. Now, because I want this to be a toolless kind of tool, I don't want to actually have to use a wrench or a screwdriver when I want to adjust the location of the wheels. So in order to do that, I'm going to punch holes in all these pieces, but I'm going to be threading one side of both of these guides. Now, I have this fancy electric tapper, but because it's only 3/16, you could have easily done this with a drill and a 5/16 tap. So now I put my 5/16 bolts through. You can see they're threaded on one side. I'm just sort of mocking it up, figuring out where I'm going to actually set this thing up. And what I want to add now is a thick piece of material for the bottom that I can then throw a threaded rod or a bolt through that'll let it index down into my table. Now, the only thing I did kind of make a mistake on the design of this is you can't really get close enough to the wheels to have this piece be full. So I had to grind a lot of material out of it, and that was kind of a pain. So in the version that I have the DXF of, I actually expanded that segment a little bit to make the whole profile a little bit taller, which would make it a lot easier to put a piece of material in there that you can then put a bolt in so that you can bolt it to a table, or if you want to put a 16mm bar, if you've got a fixture table, you could do that too. I'm using this fancy drill from Fine that I just got, which does a power tapping mode, forward and reverse. I'll do a little bit more on that in the future. If you're interested in learning about it, you can check out my Instagram to see some footage of how that thing works. So now I've got a 5/8 bolt welded to that piece of steel that I just ground down, and I'll start the actual assembly of this with the welding. So I put in some of the wheels just so I could have an accurate spacing, and they are a little bit less than 1 inch thick, which is perfect because this is 1 inch thick steel. So I'll have just a little bit of relief room that the wheels won't bind up. But what's nice about this system is if you tighten down the bolts, you can actually get those wheels to pinch, and then you can keep your tube from rotating if you don't want it to. A couple of tacks on there, and then I go ahead and just do the full weld. I probably should have taken the wheels out because I definitely could have melted them or deformed them by letting so much heat get near them, but it wound up being okay. The wheels didn't melt, and they stayed rolling. The bearing stayed good, and that worked out pretty well. Now, obviously, you just have to grind a little bit of the bottom of that weld off so it sits nice and flush on the table, and you can get the idea of how that will sit. Now, the next thing I wanted to do was make sure this was a toolless assembly, like I said. So I took a little bit of some bar and I just bent it in a little bit of a little kind of U-shaped bend, and I welded it to the head of some 5/16 hardware. And this will allow me to kind of have like a wing nut kind of thumb screw thing that I can screw in really quickly. I don't have to worry about grabbing a wrench or a screwdriver every time I want to change the locations of the wheels. Now I basically just cut and pasted that whole system and got myself set up to make a second one of these, which was the exact same process. Now you can see they're both done, got the wheels in there, and they are a little bit loose in my 16mm table. That's because these are 5/8 bolts and 16mm is just a little bit larger. So what I did was I took some brass wire and I wrapped it around the threads of the actual bolt. And what that did was it gave me like a nice soft kind of bushing, which is going to work itself into those 16mm holes and kind of self-adjust over time. So I basically made a little helical corkscrew and I just threaded it onto the bolt, and I used a punch to sort of peen it in so it wouldn't move. And you can see I got a much better fit now with that little bit of a brass bushing in there. And if I ever need to replace it, super easy to do so. The tolerance was pretty tight, but it was loose enough that they wiggled, and now they're nice and stable. So I'm pretty happy with that little solution. Now you can see me putting a piece of 1 inch tube in there, and then you can see the adjustment moving the wheels out. I could change this thing, I can make it any size I want, but before I go ahead and finish that up, I want to give it a quick little paint job. Shook up some matte black Rust-Oleum paint and gave these things a little blast and gave them some time to dry. Now here's a little demo. Here's some 4-inch Schedule 40. You can see it looks good in there. Then I can move the wheels in. Here is some 1-inch brass tube. And then if I want to use sort of the largest material you can on this, this is a 5-gallon bucket, which measures at about a 10-inch diameter. Now here's a quick practical use of it. I have to make a column, which is actually the reason that I made these rollers in the first place, because I needed to make a column. And here you can see how it's a nice way to bevel your tube, right? I can just hold my grinder with one hand and spin the tube with the other, and it's really, really useful. And then it holds the material still pretty nicely while I get my clamps and my jig in place to get my flange on the bottom. This is a residential column, and it has a 8x8 plate that'll be welded to the bottom so that this can sit and hold up a main beam in a basement. Now, it's a little hard to weld floating in space like that. It would be nice to have a arm support, but it still worked out pretty good to rotate the whole tube with my left hand while I'm welding. Now I'll move on to the other side of the table and weld the other plate on. These rollers came out perfect. I couldn't find them, so I built my own, and I'm really happy with how they came out. If you want to make your own, download the DXF so you can get the dimensions, and good luck. There'll be links to where you can get the wheels and other stuff in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.